When you talk about like the '80s and being in that LA chapter and the war with the
The
Mongols,
70s, yeah.
okay, then the '70s. Can you just? I know this is something I know you don't want to do it. It's something that's been sort of romanticized and people, but like what? Just kind of like walk me through what that was like, being in the
Well,
LA
first of all,
chapter.
I want to qualify it by saying this: anybody that thinks war is romantic, whatever type of war,
Never
street
been
war,
there.
they've
Yeah,
never been in a war
exactly.
because it's not romantic. It's stressful. You don't know when it's going to come. You know, when you declare war on somebody, whether it be on a large basis, as if we're a country going into another
Yep.
country because we don't like their culture, whatever it may be, you you get into situations that you never dreamed you would be. I made some. I was just a member initially when the war started, and 6 months into the war, there was already 6 murders in as many months. The leader of the charter down there got murdered. It was described as an in-house cleaning by law enforcement. I've written about it extensively in two of my books. But I became vice president. I came in the middle of a conflict, and I had to try to shift the direction of what we were doing. And
What was the reason for you rising up the way that you did?
Old Man John, who was the leader, after the president that took his place, John had been the leader down there. Old Man John was kind of a legend. He was an old man when I was in my 20s, and I got some pictures I'll send of you. I mean, he's a character. He had a really great picture of him with 2 pairs of glasses on. He's an old school dude.
Yeah.
He had regular, like government issued glasses,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to have them. He didn't want to spend the money to have them.
Bifocals?
Yeah. So what he did is he put sunglasses over his regular glasses because he didn't want to pay for the tint.
Got it.
It's too much money. I'm not going to waste my money
all
on
that,
tint.
yeah.
I'll just put a pair of glasses over.
Yeah.
And I got this great picture of him looking at his motorcycle with double glasses on. And I post it sometimes on social media, and people like young guys write me and they go, "Who is this guy, man?
Yeah.
He don't care what he looks like." And I
Yeah.
go, "No, man, John didn't care about much."
Yeah.
And so I guess he mentored me, and it gave me a lot of sway. And he saw something in me. You got to realize I just got out of the Marines, worked for the Department of Defense, had a structured background, and John was military, former military, World War II, and he just put me under his wing. And when the war started with the Mongols, John was very disappointed. It was very convoluted, a lot of detail to it, but in a nutshell, the war started. He wasn't happy. He stepped down.
Was there a specific?
Yeah, we were. It had been brewing between us and the Mongols. And
How so?
well, first of all, there was a rumor on the street that the Mongols started because we wouldn't allow any Hispanics in our club, which is a complete lie. David Ortega, who I met in 1966, and we were best friends till he passed away. He was in the Question Marks, and he was in the Hells Angels, and he was Mexican American. Johnny Angel from Oakland, he was Mexican. I could go Fat Ray. I could go on and on and on. So it wasn't true, but that vibe was there, and probably the oldest reason in the world was that one of the Hells Angels' ex-wife was now living with a Mongol. And we went to a swap meet. There was 9 of us. There was about 40 to 60 Mongols, and we met them by accident.
By accident.
And
Where was the swap meet?
it was in Santa Ana, and it was
That's a crazy place to run into somebody.
yeah. So I think might have been the Great Western
Okay.
exhibit or something. So
Just all happened to be there at the same time.
same time, So
Were you there?
I was there. I got a great story too. I was there, and the member whose wife had run off with the Mongol, their eyes met, and I looked at both of them, and I knew it was on. Because I knew the history. This guy was my best friend, in the Hells Angels, and I looked at him, looked at this guy Bud that was now living with us, and my friend just clocked this guy. You could just, what a perfect punch sounds like, just echoed in there, and it was on. We got in a circle, and they were surrounding us, and we were fighting.
Everyone's fighting, or just
everybody's,
the two? Yeah,
no, everybody's fighting.
Man.
Yeah. Just, the Hells Angels and the Mongols are fighting, and Jesse, who later became my vice president in Los Angeles when I took over the club down there, and later became a Hells Angel here in Ventura, fell down. This big Mongol hit him, and he fell down, and I kind of looked out of the corner of my eye, and he had his arms spread out, and there was a motor sprocket gear there. And then motor sprockets are about this big with spikes on it and a hole in the center. He hooked it on his hand, he jumped up, and he just started hacking people. And there was blood and flesh flying and people screaming and, everybody fighting. And in the middle of all this, imagine a young, scared police officer, a uniformed police officer. There was one
Santa Ana police officer.
One uniform for the whole event. This is 1976 or 77. So one uniformed officer, and he comes in, and he's got his revolver drawn. Now, he's only got 6 shots. He's got a revolver, service revolver, and he's yelling at everybody, and we're all looking at each other. And this gun looks about this big, of course.
Did he put a stop to it first?
Yeah. Yeah, it stopped.
Yeah.
Everybody stopped. And so when we stopped, the Mongols broke. And I'm not saying they broke and ran because they were scared, because these guys weren't scared. They stopped, they broke and ran, we broke and ran. And so everybody's getting away, And I ran out. And there was a Mongol. The fight had stopped now. And there was a Mongol. And he goes, "What the hell's going on?" And he's like yelling at me. And there's like the cops started there was more cops like starting to come around. I don't know if they were outside or what. It happened so fast. And I said, "You don't know what's going on?" And I'm young, and I'm a Hells Angel, and I'm in my 20s, and I think I'm cool. And I go, "You don't know what's going on?" He goes, "No, what's going on?" And I go, "This is what's going on." And I smacked him. And we started fighting. Yeah. And the cops started beating on us, both of us with the club. And the Saint and Slaves, who were like, I came that close to becoming a Saint and Slave rather than a Hells Angel. I was so close with those guys. They got around the cop, and they said, "Don't hit that Hells Angel." They go, "Hit the Mongol." And so the cops, for whatever reason, turned and started hitting the Mongol. Wow. The Saint and Slaves grabbed me, and these guys were all like 6'1", 6'2", big dudes.
Big guys, yeah.
And carried me out of there. The rest of the Hells Angels were there. There was like 6 of us on bikes. There was like 9 of us there. And we were all started laughing hysterically. Yeah. And we jumped on our bikes, kicked our bikes over. No electric starters back then. Kicked our bikes over, and we ran out of that place. Man, I felt like I was in the James Gang. We just robbed a bank.
Right, laughing your ass off.
We're laughing. So we get back to the clubhouse in Glendale, and old man John's already heard about the fight. And old man John's 6'4", big hands, and he always had a cigar in his mouth. And it was always half smoked. And he always chomped on it, and he was talking, it bounced up and down. "What the hell's going on out there?" And he takes it out of his mouth, and we're going, "Well, John, got in a fight, "I know you got in a goddamn fight," and he's going on. And but he didn't. But he was mad at, you never guess what he was mad at, John? That those guys, the Mongols, had the nerve to lay a hand on us. He wasn't mad at us. We started the fight, but he wasn't mad at us. He was mad because they laid a hand on us. And so he ran in the house, comes out with a pump shotgun. He had this old Ford Mustang. I don't know what year it was. It was an old one. Faded paint, it was a rag top. I remember the top being all And he opened the trunk up, and he's smoking on the cigar, and he throws the shotgun, and he tells who is going to become the guy that was eventually murdered, who's going to become the new Hells Angel president in Los Angeles. He goes, "You go with me." And
Why'd he pick him?
I don't know. I'll tell you another thing John used to tell me, and that will make a lot of sense to you. I didn't ask John because John told me one time, because you want to last in this business, quit asking questions.
There you go.
I said, okay, man.
Fair enough.
And so I didn't ask questions, but I did confront him. I said, "Hey, John, don't you think it'd be better to let them brew on the fight, and they'll wonder what's going to be next, and then we can petition, for a sit down?"
Because John's idea was just go.
John
go
just
take
balls
it
out, and he told me.
and
you know what he told me?
What?
"New guy, get your ass in the clubhouse." And I went back in the clubhouse, and he took off with Ray, and Jesse and I were in the clubhouse. Jesse, was the guy with the motor sprocket. We just sat in there all night, waiting for John. Then John, we see the headlights roll in the driveway, and he had resolved it. But, I felt, and I respectfully told him alone, I never questioned him in front of anybody. I said, "Man, I think it would have been smarter from a military standpoint to wait and let them brew on what was going to come next and then petition them." John didn't care. John didn't care about anything. All John cared about was us. We were his family. And, he was a real old school guy. He'd tell you, one time he took me to a fight with another bike club. I didn't even know, you didn't ask back then what we were doing.